Thank you very much for the introduction. And also, so I'm going to say some things that you already said, but try to make it short because, yeah, more communication in general. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, security amplification is a very fundamental problem in cryptography. We want to take a primitive that is weak or faulty in some sense, and we want to fix it. We want to make it strongly secure. Okay, we want to make it harder to break. Now, there are several motivations to look at amplification. One motivation is that sometimes just weak primitives are easier to construct. Right? So you try to construct a primitive, but you are not able to do it fully. You're able to get a weak version, and then you want to amplify it. Okay, I think maybe the two most famous examples for amplification are Yao's one-way function amplification and Yao's XOR lemma, right? Yao's one-way function amplification, if the one-way function is weakly secure, you just take the direct product and you can show that this amplifies one minus. And the XOR lemma, well, if you take the XOR of several independent bits, each of them is somewhat weakly unpredictable, then they become strongly unpredictable. Okay, so these are maybe the two most basic examples, and also because of the one-way function amplification, then you can also get immediate amplification for many primitives that are equivalent to one-way function automatically. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about amplification of non-interactive zero knowledge. So just a quick reminder, what is non-interactive zero knowledge by Blum, Feldman, Mekani. So we are interested in, the prover is interested in convincing the verifier in the validity of some MP statement without any interaction. Okay, we want to convince the verifier that the statement X is true without any interaction. Now you can show that this is actually impossible in the plain model. It's only possible for languages in BBB. So usually we think of NIZK in the CRS model. Okay, in the CRS model, we think of some third party, a trusted party that generates a CRS according to some predetermined generation algorithm, predetermined distribution, and this CRS is public. It is shared with everyone, and then the prover, given the CRS and the instance and the witness, generates a proof, and that's it. No interaction. And the verifier chooses to accept or reject based on the instance, the proof, and the CRS. Okay? Now, what do we want from a NIZK? We have three requirements. One is completeness. If the prover really does have an instance and an accepting witness, we want the verifier to accept. Okay, that is completeness. We also have soundness. We want that any malicious prover that is trying to cheat, trying to convince the verifier of a false statement with an accepted proof, can cause the verifier to accept with only negligible probability. Okay? We want a cheating prover to only be able to cheat with negligible probability, and here actually there are some variants with soundness. We can think of statistical soundness and computational soundness, right? In the sense that this malicious prover, we can think about it being computationally bounded, and we can also think of statistical soundness against all provers, including unbounded provers, right? Also, yeah.
The probabilities over the choice of the CRS and the verifier's coin tosses.
Yes. But yeah.
And the provers as well.
Okay.
Everything.
Yeah. Although you can think of like if you're thinking like in the non-uniform setting, you can think about the prover as being like deterministic, but yes, it's over everything. Yeah. And okay, so we can think about statistical soundness and computational soundness, depending if we want to make this prover computational or unbounded. And we can also think of non-adaptive and adaptive soundness. Okay, that is, non-adaptive soundness is where the prover picks the statement in advance. And adaptive soundness is where the prover is allowed to pick the statement after seeing the CRS. Okay, so I want to emphasize that today we are only going to be talking about adaptive soundness. Okay, both statistical and computational, but only about adaptive soundness. Okay, so the prover gets a CRS, and then we ask the prover to choose some statement and a false proof, a false statement and an accepted proof. This is how the prover cheats, and he can choose the statement depending on the CRS. Okay, that is adaptive soundness. And finally, we want zero knowledge. That is, we want that there exists a simulator such that actually the view generated, the simulated view generated by the simulator, seeing only the instance, seeing only the statement, is computationally indistinguishable from the honest view generated by the prover with the statement and the witness. Okay, so when we think about the view of the verifier, we think about the CRS and pi and the proof. So we want to simulate them, and I do want to emphasize here that we simulate them jointly, right? It's not that the prover gets, it's not that the simulator, sorry, gets a CRS and then simulates a proof. The simulator also simulates the CRS jointly. Okay?
So does, like you said, we focus on adaptive soundness. So does this amplification theorem hold for non-adaptive soundness?
I don't know. Yes, that's an open question. At the last slide, like that's one of the open questions. So I don't know how to amplify zero knowledge for non-adaptive soundness.
What about zero knowledge? Can the attacker pick the statement after seeing the CRS in the zero knowledge definition?
So right now we are thinking about a non-adaptive zero knowledge, but you can actually amplify if you get a NIZK, a secure NIZK with non-adaptive zero knowledge. You can also make it adaptive. There is a general transformation for that.
I see. So it suffices to consider non-adaptive
Yeah,
for zero.
Consider non-adaptive zero knowledge, right? But for soundness, we don't know how to amplify if it's non-adaptive. Okay. So now, what do we consider a weak NIZK? So in a weak NIZK, we will be thinking about weak soundness and weak zero knowledge. Okay, we still want completeness, but now instead of requiring soundness and zero knowledge to be negligible, they can be any numbers between 0 and 1. Okay, the soundness is at most epsilon s, can be 1 over n, can be even a constant. And the same goes for zero knowledge, right? Maybe these two distributions are not negligibly indistinguishable. Maybe they're only weakly indistinguishable, right? For a value that can even be a constant here between 0 and 1, right? Where 0 means indistinguishable, 1 means they are completely, you can easily distinguish between them. Okay? So in this,
I have a question about this weak NIZK definition. Are there any known instantiations of weak NIZK that are more efficient than normal NIZK or use weaker assumptions?
So actually, there is a recent paper that constructing NIZK from batch proofs, I think, of Bitansky et al. And in this paper, what they actually get is they get a protocol. They're trying to construct NIZK from batch proofs, and they get a protocol that is sound, but it's not negligibly zero knowledge. You only get, I think, 1 over poly zero knowledge, and they want to amplify that. They didn't do it this way. They were able to do it another way, but still, this is an example of a construction where you actually get weak NIZK. It was actually statistical zero knowledge, but still it's similar, like it's in the same context.
Can you, I guess I don't understand this other paper. So basically, by using this amplification theorem, you can get like something new that was otherwise not known. So what is the new theorem that they got by using this
So I think,
amplification theorem?
remember correctly, exactly. So maybe I'm mistaken. I can look up the paper later. But I think what they construct is I think NIZK from batch proofs, and in their construction they go through a weaker version of NIZK with only weak statistical zero knowledge. Okay, so yeah.
So, but for NIZK, there are many known constructions. Like, what's the advantage of the one that they construct, the one from batch proofs?
I think it was just to show that you can do it, like that the batch proofs imply NIZK.
So Elaine, I
Yeah.
feel like for most of these questions, they're just theoretically interesting. For most of the times, there's no like real world application.
I'm not asking about application. I'm just asking like for instance, if you are able to construct it from batch proofs, does that mean you can get it from new assumptions, or it's just yet another way to construct it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe they have it in this paper. I'm not sure, but I do. Yeah. So in this context, I do want to say two things. So one thing is that actually, right, this amplifier is actually not very efficient in the sense that probably you wouldn't want to use it in practice. And as for the batch proofs paper, they're using a different technique there. And I'm not sure actually if they get. Maybe they do. Maybe they not. They don't. I'm not sure, but. Yeah, I'm not sure because I'm not sure like what assumptions you can construct the batch proofs that they need from.
generally harder than doing NIZK.
Yeah, general harder. Yeah, so maybe it's just like I'm not sure if they get NIZK from any new assumptions due to that. I'm not sure about that. But what they do show is like they do show that like the theoretical result that batch proofs are sufficient for NIZK.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, so here in the context of NIZK, we are in the setting of.
Maybe let me add one more point.
Yes.
So if I were to give one example where we need like amplification, this is just because it came in my research, where amplification was kind of needed was when we were trying to build obfuscation. Like most of the known constructions at that time, around 2018 or 2019, which were using bilinear groups, they did not actually give you fully secure functional encryption. They had like this property that it was only like weakly secure. So their like initial constructions of obfuscation, at least in my line of work, were all relying on some sort of amplification. And
Yeah,
like,
I mean, my question is not about why amplification is useful in general. I'm just asking for for NIZK specifically whether amplification can get you a new theorem. Like, because there are lots of other, like, let's say this example that Nathan gave, like Yal's XR lemma, those are known to be useful.
yeah. Yeah, you're asking, can we base weak NIZK from different assumption that is not known to give you NIZKs just yet?
Yeah, because I feel, in general, I feel like if like for some objects where initially you couldn't get the strong version, but you could get the weak version, then amplification, you could get the strong version. So that would be like something fundamentally new, right? But for something like where we can already get a strong version very easily and very simply or very efficiently, then like maybe it is a different way to construct it if you first construct a weak one and then amplify it to a strong one, but it's actually not that clear whether this particular way of constructing it has any advantage of just directly constructing a strong one, right?
That I agree with. Like for now, I don't know a way.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know of any assumptions that give you weak NIZK but not NIZK directly. At least so far. Okay. Now, specifically here, we are in a more restricted setting, you could say, of simultaneous amplification, right? So in contrast to, for example, the amplification of one-way function or the XOR lemma, where you had one-way property that you want to amplify, here we have more than one, right? We have multiple weak properties, actually just two, but more than one weak property that we want to fix simultaneously. Right, we have several weak properties and we want to fix them simultaneously. And the challenge in that is that, well, when you focus on one property that you want to strengthen, this may actually make the other property weaker. Okay, so here you have a challenge of even when you find an amplifier for one property and an amplifier for the other property, you need to combine them carefully because each amplifier can actually degrade the other property, make it worse. Okay, an example of that is weak oblivious transfer. So in oblivious transfer, right, Damgard, Killian, Sibel, and Wulschlager, they amplify weak oblivious transfer. So for example, in the setting of weak oblivious transfer, you have sender security and you have receiver security, and what you want is to amplify them simultaneously, and this was previously shown with them, and the point is that they come up with a combiner for, they come up with an amplifier for receiver security, and it makes sender security worse, and the other way around, so they need to combine them carefully. And this would also be the case here. Also with similar bounds for the amplifiers. Okay, so first of all, what exactly are the weak NIZKs that we hope to amplify? Okay, we cannot hope to amplify, we don't hope to amplify weak NIZK that we can construct unconditionally, right? If the weak NIZK is too weak, if you can construct it unconditionally, then we don't hope to amplify it.
Then we solve P equals to NP, P not equal to NP.
Yeah.
Problem.
So what are the trivial NIZKs? So there is a trivial NIZK that is not sound but perfectly zero knowledge, where you send nothing and the verifier accepts. Right? So we have soundness 1 and zero knowledge 0, right? The prover sends nothing, the verifier accepts. It's not sound at all, but it's perfectly zero knowledge. Okay, we also have a trivial NIZK that is perfectly sound, but maybe it's not zero knowledge, where the prover just sends the weakness in the clear. So it's perfectly sound, because you can just verify the interrelation, but not clear how to simulate it, right? If NP is not easy. Okay, so following these two trivial NIZK, we can also construct any weak NIZK for P1 minus P, for any P between 0 and 1, by simply combining them, right? You simply get a bit in the CRS, gets the value 1 with a biased bit, right? Gets the value 1 with probability P that indicates which of the trivial protocols you want to run. Okay, so any P1 minus P weak NIZK is trivial, and this is why we are interested in the case where the sum of errors is at most 1. Okay, this is the case that we are interested in. All right, so the previous results that Ayush started talking about earlier is the construction of NIZK, right? Goyal, Jain, and Sahai show in the paper that Ayush mentioned earlier how to construct weak NIZK assuming some exponentially secure complete encryption.
But this
Okay,
theorem,
so
of
it's-
course, is,
yeah.
like at least our proof has a bug, so this was not known before your, even this theorem was not known before your role.
Right. So yeah, so as I mentioned, so yes. Also, but in addition to that, I wanted also to say that sorry that yeah. Also, it relies on the sub-exponential security. I mean, if you can fix the bug,
Sure.
if you can fix the bug, then it still relies on sub-exponential security because of complexity leveraging. right? So it's based on the empty in the head paradigm by Shaikushievitz, Ostrovsky, Sahai. And the reason you need sub-exponential security is because of complexity leveraging. So even if you can fix the bug, you still get sub-exponential security because the reduction is not polynomial.
So what does that mean? That means you know how to fix it and to get it from sub-exponential security, or you still don't know how to fix it, but you think the fix has to use sub-exponential? I don't understand what that means.
No, it means, I mean, in their proof, there's a bug, but even if it's the bug, I mean, what they claim is that they can construct NIZK from the assumption of sub-exponential secure public encryption. So even if they fix the bug, they get NIZK only under sub-exponential security. I mean, essentially, even if they fix the bug, the reduction is sub-exponential, it's not polynomial.
Oh, I see. You are saying the paper. This is the claim of the paper. It's not what the claim would have been had you fixed the bug.
Yes.
So the reason why it's broken is different, and the part where we use sub-exponential leveraging, that's different. And even if like the part which has the proof issues, the other part itself uses complexity leveraging.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So our results. We amplify NIZK arguments, right? Computational soundness, assuming polynomially secure public encryption. So we still assume public encryption, but the reduction is efficient. It's polynomial type. Okay, and we get the same parameters, any constant errors with the sum smaller than 1. Okay, now if you assume that the weak NIZK is actually statistically secure, weakly statistically secure, then you can only assume one-way functions. Okay, one-way functions are sufficient. If you want to amplify, NIZK proofs, then one-way functions are sufficient. You don't need public encryption. And also standard one-way functions, right? Not polynomially secure. And finally, if you only want to amplify zero knowledge, that is, if you assume that your weak NIZK is sound, but just the zero knowledge is weak, then also one-way functions are sufficient. Okay, you don't need public encryption. We only need public encryption to amplify computational soundness. Okay, these results are based on the hidden bits paradigm, Feigl-Lapidot-Shamir, and essentially we use it to get a reduction to pseudorandomness amplification. Informally, this is what the hidden bits paradigm allows us. Okay, so I'm going to go now into the technical overview. But before that, do you have any questions about the definitions or statements? Okay, so let's go into the technical overview. First of all, we are going to focus on zero knowledge amplification. Okay, because this will be the main part of our result. So for now, we are going to assume that we have strong soundness and only zero knowledge is weak. Okay, we are simply going to focus on how to amplify zero knowledge, not worrying about what happens to soundness, assuming we have perfect soundness, like strong soundness. For example, if you take a secure NIZK and you modify it to publish the witness with probability half, then you get a half zero knowledge NIZK, right? If you take a secure NIZK and you change the prover to just output the witness in the clear with probability half, then you get a half zero knowledge NIZK. Okay? Now, one possible approach to amplify such a weak NIZK would be to try to maybe construct a combiner, right? Try to construct a protocol that calls the weak NIZK several times, and if at least one of these calls is hidden, right, is secure, then you get a secure NIZK. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that you cannot always assume that a weak NIZK is in this dichotomy state, right? We can't always assume that it's either secure or insecure. Because I'm also saying it because, for example, in the setting of weak oblivious transfer, what they showed first is how to amplify OTs that are sometimes faulty. So sometimes it's secure, sometimes it's faulty, but the point here is that this is not the most general case, okay? Not every weak NIZK is either secure or insecure. For example, we can also construct, if you give me a secure NIZK, we can also construct another weak NIZK that always leaks some information about the witness. Okay? For example, we can also publish the last bit of the witness, and the simulator can simply guess it. So this is also a have-zero knowledge NIZK, right? This is also a have-zero knowledge NIZK if we always publish the last bit of the witness, and the simulator can guess it. Okay, so this is kind of, this will be relevant to us later actually, that in some sense these are really the interesting cases. There is the all or nothing case, and there is the constant leakage case, but notice that here the leakage is bounded, right? It's just one bit. So in some sense, these are the two cases that are important. Okay. So our zero knowledge amplifier is going to work using the hidden bits model, the construction of NIZK in the hidden bits model. Again, it's due to Feigl-Lapidot-Shamir. So in the hidden bits model, instead of having a public CRS, what you actually have is there is a third party, right, the trusted party, that generates a random string, but here the random string is only given to the prover, right? And then the prover, after seeing the random string in the witness and the instance, the prover picks a subset of bits that will be revealed to the verifier. Okay, so here it's not symmetric, unlike the CRS model. The prover sees the entire string, and the verifier only sees what the prover allows. All right? Now, in this hidden bits model, what they actually show is that you can construct NIZK for O and P without any computational assumptions. Okay, so they unconditionally construct NIZK for the NP-hard problem of Hamiltonicity. Okay, what they actually get is a NIZK with perfect correctness, perfect zero knowledge, and statistical soundness, statistical adaptive soundness that you can make as small as you want by taking power repetitions. Okay, so this is an unconditional result, but of course we want to construct NIZK in the CRS model and not in this non-standard model. So how we're going to do that is we are going to construct a hidden bits generator, right? I mean, what we want to do is we want to construct this functionality, this hidden bits functionality of allowing the prover to reveal some bits and keep other bits hidden. We want to construct it in the CRS model, and then we can also construct NIZK in the CRS model. Okay, so we basically want to implement in the CRS model this non-standard functionality of drawing a random string and only revealing some bits.
So if the prover decided to always reveal all the bits of the equivalent to CRS?
Yes, if you force the prover to always output all the bits, then it's basically CRS, right? Yeah.
Can you give an intuition for why this works? Like, how is it possible that the prover can just selectively reveal some subset and the proof is still sound?
So there are also restrictions on the prover because, I mean, the verifier, in some sense, I mean, you should think about the fact that the prover doesn't control the string, which is very, very long, only controls what the subset is. So I'm not sure if maybe to give a quick quick overview of how they do it, of how they construct it. Okay, you know what? Maybe we can talk about later, but yeah, it's so because I don't have much time, but about like the construction of NIZK for Hamiltonicity. But let's assume for now that you can do it. Okay. All right. So in order to transform this into NIZK in the CRS model, what we want is to construct this functionality, this hidden bits functionality in the CRS model, and we do that using what we call a hidden bits generator. Okay. So what is this hidden bits generator? It's essentially a PRG with subset consistency proofs. Okay, so think of a PRG, let's say taking n bits, transforming it into the 10 bits, something like that. And we want the functionality of revealing a subset, maybe a very large subset, and proving that this subset is consistent with some seed. Okay, we want the functionality of revealing a subset and proving that it is indeed in the image of the PRG restricted to this subset. That it is consistent with some seed, and we want the other bits to still be pseudo-random, even given the revealed bits and the proof. Okay, what we want is that like no matter with what subset I choose it at first, right? Before seeing non-adaptively, you choose the subset I at first initially, and then when you reveal the bits corresponding to subset I and the proof of consistency, the other bits should remain pseudo-random. Okay, this is what we want to implement in the CRS model in order to get NIZK in this CRS model. Now, why can we construct NIZK in the CRS model from a hidden bits generator? How does it work? It works like this. You choose the CRS to be a random string, and then what's going to happen is the prover is going to use the hidden bits generator, right, to get this value g of s and XOR it with the random string. Okay, so we have this string r that is the CRS and it's completely public, and the prover applies the hidden bits generator to generate g of s and XORs it with r to get the hidden string r star. Okay, so now the prover is going to treat r star as the hidden bit string, and it is going to apply the HBM NIZK on r star. Okay, so it uses r star as though it is as if it's the hidden bit string and generates the proof in the hidden bit model, right? I and by HBM according to r star. Now, in addition to that, the prover should also reveal to the verifier the revealed bits. So it also reveals r star at subset I and a proof of consistency. Okay, so in addition to publishing an HBM proof with respect to r star, we also reveal what we need to reveal according to the subset that was chosen by the HBM NIZK, and we give a consistency proof. Okay. Now,
introduce the S here.
What? So the S is the seed of the hidden bits generator. So you think of the hidden bits generator, right, as a PRG. So you give it like a small seed, and it gives you a large output.
So in your construction, who gets to pick the
Right. So that's a good point, and this we are just going to talk about it in a moment. Before that, I just want to say regarding zero knowledge. So intuitively, this is zero knowledge because of the property of the hidden bits generator, right? That all the hidden bits are pseudo-random, right? So because the bits that we did not reveal are pseudo-random, we expect it to behave like informally. We expect it to behave like the hidden bits model. Okay.
So if you are XORing this with R and R is uniform and random, then why isn't it just automatically random? It's R XOR R is uniform and random, right?
I mean,
R is the CRS.
R is the CRS. So sorry, I didn't understand the question. I mean, it is a random string, but R is known to the verifier, right?
Oh, you're seeing random even after seeing R.
Yes, yes. So the verifier, it knows R, it just doesn't know G of S at the subset complement of I. Right? The verifier knows R, and it also knows, right, how do we reveal R star I? We basically reveal the bits corresponding to subset I of G of S. Right? So the hidden bits are G of S on a subset, the complement to I, on I bar. Okay? So this is why R star is hidden, because R star I bar is actually the restricted subset of R, which is not the verifier, but XORed with the restricted subset of G of S, which is not known the verifier.
So what we need R here?
What?
What we need R here since R is both known by the profile.
Okay, so yeah, so maybe we should talk about soundness, because this is also where we need R. So as like the question that yeah, so there was a good question before, who gets to pick S? Okay, notice that we allow the prover in this construction, we give the prover more power to cheat, right? Because the prover, I mean, in the HBM NIZK, the prover does not control the string generated by the third party, right? But here we give the prover more power to control the string, R star, right? We give the prover the power to choose S. I mean, a malicious prover can choose whatever S they want. They don't have to choose a randomness, right? So the point is that if we use an HBM NIZK with small enough soundness, which we can do because we can just take power repetition, then we can basically take a union bound over S, over the seed. Okay, so think about taking an HBM NIZK, and we take enough power repetitions to make the soundness, the statistical soundness, very, very small. Okay, now the size of the CRS will grow, but we don't care because, I mean, it's just a PRG, right? So instead of a PRG from n bits to n to the 7, we will have n bits to n to the power of 10. Okay, it's still n bits, the size of the seed. And once we make the HBM NIZK sound enough, we can actually take a union bound over all the choices of the seed. Okay, because the seed is small compared to the soundness.
So where are you using the weak NIZK in this construction?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
You said you are going to use weak NIZK, but so far you haven't used weak NIZK.
Right, the construction is working in two parts. So we want to construct NIZK from weak NIZK, right? So it's going to work in two parts. First part, we show how to construct NIZK from an HBG. And now the next slide is how to construct HBG from weak NIZK. Like the rest of the amplifier is how to construct HBG from weak NIZK. Okay? So this is the first step. If we had a hidden bits generator, we could construct NIZK. Now the question is, how do we construct a hidden bits generator, right? Given a weak NIZK. So first of all, notice that if we had secure NIZK, we could easily construct a hidden bits generator, right? Just take a PRG, and for the proof of consistency, use the NIZK, right? So you can easily construct a hidden bits generator from a PRG and a strong NIZK. But what happens if the NIZK is weak? Let's say that the NIZK is sound. What happens if the NIZK is only weakly zero knowledge? Then you might reveal some information about the other bits. Okay? So now if you give me a weak NIZK and I try to use it to construct a hidden bits generator, then you only get here weak pseudorandomness. Okay? Now, we are going to first give a more natural, simple approach to deal with that does not give you the best parameters, and then I'm going to quickly explain how to improve that. So I think maybe the most natural approach to amplify pseudorandomness is to just take the XOR of several independent instances, right? Take this weak hidden bits generator, right, with weak pseudorandomness, take several independent instances, and then take the XOR. Okay? So we can use the weak NIZK in this way. You take a PRG, you generate k pseudorandom strings for some amplification parameter k. The hidden bit string is said to be the XOR of all the strings. And when we want to reveal the subset I, what we do is we reveal the subset I of every copy of every PRG, in addition to consistency proofs for every PRG. Okay? And as a remark, I do want to say that you get here a zero knowledge combiner, right? Because it's enough that one string in the XOR is pseudorandom, and then XOR is pseudorandom. So you do get here a combiner, but we will see that it's actually it doesn't allow you to amplify any zero knowledge error. Okay, we're going to see that in a moment. So just to give you maybe a quick a quick analysis. I don't have much time, so I don't think I'll go over it really in detail, but the point is that you can show that the hidden bit string, right, if the weak NIZK is epsilon zero knowledge, then every hidden string is 2 epsilon pseudorandom. It's 2, you suffer a factor of 2 because you go through the simulator twice, and then every bit is 4 epsilon pseudorandom, unpredictable, sorry, and then you can use the XOR lemma. You can use the XOR lemma on every bit and take a hybrid argument. Doesn't really matter. I won't really go into the details, but you can actually improve it to t to the 2 epsilon z to the k. But anyway, the main point to notice here is that this only works when the zero knowledge error is at most half. Okay, why is that? So think about the example that we gave earlier, right? For a half zero knowledge NIZK. So if the NIZK is all or nothing, this is good. But let's say that the NIZK always reveals the last hidden bit. Let's say that it completely reveals the last hidden bit. Then no matter how many times you take the XOR, you don't improve unpredictability at all. Right? If I take the XOR of several weakly pseudorandom strings, but the last bit is always fixed, then I don't improve unpredictability at all. Okay, so this approach is inherently limited to the case where epsilon z is at most half. Okay, and also it's not really like you suffer a factor of t. It's not really, it doesn't give you the best parameters, but I think most importantly, it's limited, right? If you want to amplify really the full range of parameters, this is not good enough. Okay. Now, in the context, in the similar, right, in the very related context of PRG amplification, with PRG amplification, Maurer and Tesaro show how to amplify weak PRGs using the concatenate and extract approach, okay, with a strong extractor. What they show is that if you take these k weak PRGs, and instead of taking the XOR, you concatenate them and apply a strong extractor, then this is a better way to amplify pseudorandomness, in the sense that this also works, this gives you better parameters, and it also works for epsilon that is more than half. Okay? So they use this approach. Now, what is the problem with this approach if we try to directly apply it in our setting? The problem is that we also want the functionality of revealing the bits corresponding to subset I, right? So let's say that I want to reveal the bits corresponding to the output at subset I. Previously, we just revealed the subset I of every PRG. But here, maybe the subset I of the output depends on all input bits. Okay? So we cannot just reveal a small portion of every PRG, and this way we can compute the output at subset I. Maybe we can do that. Okay, we don't have immediately this functionality of being able to reveal exactly subset I without without revealing anything else. Now, the way to fix it, we do it like this. So now I'm switching from PRG to PRF just because it's a bit simpler. It's a bit easier to with notation, but you can actually also use PRG. So what we are going to do, we are going to have these K seeds, okay? And for every seed, we are going to generate using the PRF T blocks. Each block is of size n. Okay, we're going to generate T blocks. T is the size of the hidden string. Okay, so for every hidden bit, we generate a block of n bits that are pseudo-random. Right? Think of an n bit output PRF, then we apply the PRF to 1, to 2, up to T. You get T blocks of size n. Okay, for every hidden bit, you get a block of size n. And we're going to do this for every secret key. Right? K independent copies. K independent secret keys. And what we are going to do is that every hidden bit, how do we compute it? We concatenate all the corresponding blocks, right, in this column, and extract them. Okay, so now we can reveal the subset I without revealing anything else computationally, at least, about the other columns, right? If I reveal to you all the values in the columns corresponding to subset I, then I don't reveal to you intuitively anything else about the other columns because it's a PRF, right? Because of PRF security, then we expect them to behave randomly, like they're independent. Okay, so if I do this, I can reveal to you all the values, right? All the columns corresponding to subset I, and the other values we expect them to remain pseudo-random in a sense. Okay. So yes, to reveal subset I reveal all the columns corresponding to subset I, and also remember that for every row, right? For every row, we also publish one proof of consistency, right? With the subset I. So for example, for the first row, I give you the values of fs1 corresponding to on I1, on I2, on all the revealed bits. And then I give you a proof using the weak NIZK that indeed you have consistency with some seed. Okay? So for every row, k times, you publish a consistency proof with respect to Si, the F seed. Okay? So are there any constructions about the, are there any, questions about the construction? Because now I'm going to, for the next few slides, I'm going to try to explain briefly why this works. But this is the construction. So is it clear? Okay. So for the analysis, we are going to use a hybrid indistinguishability lemma. Now, what does this lemma say? It says that, let's say that X and Y are two distributions that are weakly indistinguishable. Okay, let's say that they are epsilon indistinguishable. Then what we can actually show is that for every epsilon tag that is noticeable, as small as you want, there exists a hybrid distribution X prime such that X is very, very close to X prime, and X prime is statistically close to Y, weakly. Okay, so in some sense, right, this allows you to transform weak computational indistinguishability into weak statistical indistinguishability. Okay, I'm going to say it once more. Let's say that X and Y are weakly computationally indistinguishable. Then you can make, there exists a hybrid X prime such that X and X prime are strongly computationally indistinguishable, and X prime is weakly statistically indistinguishable with Y. Okay, so what we're going to do, and this is based on the indistinguishability hardcore lemma of Maurer and Tesauer, which amplified weak PRGs. So essentially, what we're going to do with this lemma, we're going to reduce the computational analysis to the statistical analysis, right? We're going to say, okay, we have all these samples from X, and we are going to exchange them for samples from X prime, and no computationally bounded adversary can tell the difference. And then we're going to use the fact that X prime is statistically closed. We have some statistical guarantee on it to show that the extraction works. Okay? In a bit more detail, what we have here is, our two distributions, what we have here is this. For every row I, what I know is that, by a real I denote the revealed bits, the revealed blocks, and the proof. Okay? So the revealed blocks and the proof, I can use the weak NIZK to simulate the proof and have that it is computationally close with epsilon z, weakly computationally close to the simulator and the hidden blocks. Okay, so I can take, right? I think of every row here. So for every row I have a proof of consistency, I can simulate it using the weak NIZK. Now, once I simulate it, then I no longer nothing depends on the seed anymore. I can use the PRF security to replace all the hidden blocks by random strings. Okay, so think about, for example, the first row. Say that we reveal the two first columns, right? So I reveal the two first columns, and I give you consistency proof. So I'm first going to simulate the consistency proof, and now that everything only depends on the values and not on the seed, I can use the PRF security, and I can replace all the other values by random values. Okay? So we first take the proof and simulate it, and then we can take all the hidden blocks and replace them by uniformly random string from the security of the PRF. Okay? So these are going to be our two distributions that we apply the hybrid indistinguishability lemma on. Okay, so now we apply the hybrid indistinguishability lemma, and what we get is that the redistribution, right, of revealed bits, hidden bits, and proof is statistically very close to a hybrid. Computationally very close to a hybrid that is statistically close to some simulated distribution and the uniform strings, and a bunch of uniform strings. Okay? So now the real prover, right, gets k samples from this distribution, right, for every row. Now, if we replace them by samples from the hybrid distribution, you cannot tell the difference because it's efficient and it's computationally very close, right? So if we show that the extraction works for this hybrid distribution, then it must also work for the redistribution. Okay, so we're going to focus now. We now reduce the analysis to a purely statistical analysis. Okay, it's enough to show that the extraction works for this distribution where we have some statistical guarantee on it. Or now it is close to uniform plus some simulated leakage, you can think of it. Okay, so I see that I don't have that much time. I think I'm just going to go over it relatively quickly, but the point is this. Think about now we're talking about the general statistical lemma. Okay? You can show this. If you have two jointly distributed variables, z and x, that are statistically close with distance 1 minus delta to some z prime and uniform string. Okay? Let's say that you have two jointly distributed variables with this statistical indistinguishability. Then what you can show is that there exists an event A on the jointly distributed z and x with probability delta, the complement to the statistical distance, such that conditioned on the fact that A has occurred, X has high mean entropy given Z. Okay? So think about it this way. If Z and X are statistically close to something, no matter what it is, and uniform, then we expect X to have high mean entropy given Z, at least conditioned on some events. Okay? We lose at most, I mean, a uniform string has m bits of mean entropy, and we use at most log 1 over delta. For example, if delta is half, we lose at most 1 bit of mean entropy. So in some sense, if you think about the two extreme cases that we mentioned before, right? One case was all or nothing, and the other case was constant leakage, but bounded. So here, in some sense, we combine them, right? When we condition on this event A, it captures the case of all or nothing. We condition on a good event. And also, and what we do here is, instead of saying that condition on a good event, you get a random string, we only say that condition on a good event, you lose at most a bounded, a small number of bits of mean entropy. Okay, so in some sense, we combine the fact that we have only a good event, and we combine the fact that, we combine the losses from these two cases. One is that we only condition on an event, and otherwise we don't guarantee anything. And second, even condition on this event, we may be losing some bits of mean entropy, but it's bounded. Okay? All right, formally, I will just mention that formally use this, you show this using the coupling method that says that if two distributions are statistically close, then condition on some events, they have the same distribution. Okay, also, actually what we want to show is not just one X, we have several different X's for the hidden blocks, but it's actually a very similar proof. Okay, that we want to expand. I mean, the event A is good for all of them simultaneously, but it's actually like the same proof, almost the same proof. Yeah, so just to summarize, we have this statistical indistinguishability, and it's enough that even one coupling event occurred that the extraction works, and you get what you wanted. Okay, so if you think about the construction, we have k proofs, right? So what we are saying is that it's enough that even one proof is good, and then the hidden blocks at this row all have high pseudo-mean entropy, and then the extraction works. Okay, so it's enough that even one hardcore event occurred, right? One coupling event occurred, and the extraction works, because once even one coupling event occurred, then there is all the blocks in this row have high mean entropy, and when you take the concatenation, you still have high mean entropy, and the extraction works. Okay, so now we ask ourselves, what is the chance that no event occurred, and that only happens with probability epsilon z to the k, right? If they are statistically close with epsilon z, then each event AI happens with probability the complement to that 1 minus epsilon z, and the probability that none of them occurred is epsilon z to the k. Okay, this is why we get epsilon z to the k amplification. Okay, because in the construction that we gave, you always get a pseudo-random string. The hidden bit string is always pseudo-random, except with probability epsilon z to the k. The probability that all the events failed.
Can you wrap up in 3 minutes?
Okay, yes. Okay. So this was the zero knowledge amplification, which is really the main part of our result. But in the few minutes I have left, I'm just going to talk quickly about what happens with soundness. Okay, so let's just what happens with soundness is that how we amplify soundness, we're simply going to take a standard power repetition, right? We're going to take the protocol and repeat it k times. Okay? Now, there is one problem though. If you give me an adversary that breaks soundness, right, that breaks that gives you K proofs, and at least one of them is, okay. I'm just thinking how to make it quick enough. Okay, essentially, there is a problem here with the power repetition amplifier. The problem is that you cannot tell when soundness is broken. That is, soundness is the first instance with an accepting proof, right? But the problem is that we cannot tell efficiently if an instance is false or not. Maybe it's a very hard instance. Okay, so in a sense, this is why soundness does not, we don't know how to show that soundness amplifies. Instead, what we say is that we introduce a new notion of soundness star that says that instead of asking the adversary, right, to produce a false instance with an accepting proof, we ask the adversary to produce a list with at least one false instance and accepting proof. And when it's a list, then the reduction works because intuitively, when you give me the adversary, I run it many times, and I don't know which one to pick. But because this is, for this notion of soundness star, you're simply going to concatenate them in a very long list, and you can guarantee that at least one of them is good. Okay, so intuitively, we use this notion of soundness star, and finally, you can combine the amplifiers in a standard way. I don't have time for this, but just one last thing. So we can amplify soundness star, and the point is that you can actually get soundness star using public encryption from plain soundness. Okay, so if you give me a NIZK that is epsilon weakly sound, I can make it epsilon soundness star sound using public encryption. How do I do that? I use public encryption to get witness extraction. That is, instead of asking the prover to prove the statement X, I ask the prover to encrypt. I have in the CRS a public encryption key, and ask the prover to encrypt the statement and then prove that it encrypted a valid witness. To encrypt the witness and then prove that it encrypted a valid witness. And what is the point? The point is that in the reduction, I can generate the public encryption together with a secret encryption, and when I give it to the prover, I can test which statement he cheated on. Right? Because the statements are, I encrypted a valid witness. Now, if I'm the one who generated the public encryption together with a secret encryption, then I can test that efficiently. Right? If I have the secret encryption, I can efficiently test which statement is false. And this is how I get soundness star, and for soundness star, we can show amplification and degradation.
Who are generating the public key?
The CRS. So in the CRS, the trusted third party, it generates the public key and it publishes it. It is public to everyone in the CRS.
Okay.
So he can definitely the proof is not zero knowledge to him, but it is zero knowledge to the verifier because the verifier doesn't know the private key. Okay. All right, so yeah, we can finish here, and you can ask me more questions if you have.
Thank you.